Cold concrete presses against my cheek. My eyelids are heavy, crusted shut with something I don't want to identify. When I force them open, darkness swallows everything except a thin sliver of light bleeding through a gap at the top of wooden stairs. The chain rattles when I try to move. Metal bites into my ankle, the skin there raw and weeping. How long has it been? Days blur together down here. No windows, no clock. Just the damp smell of earth and mold, the constant drip of water somewhere in the shadows, and the weight of the chain anchoring me to a pipe that runs along the wall. My throat burns. When did I last have water? Yesterday? 2 days ago? The masked figure who brings food comes irregularly. Sometimes twice in what feels like a day. Sometimes not at all for stretches so long my stomach cramps and my vision swims. I remember the hospital parking lot. October wind cutting through my scrubs. Fumbling for my car keys after a double shift that left my legs shaking and my head pounding. Then nothing. A sharp pain in my neck. Darkness. That was 3 months ago. At least, I think it was 3 months. Time loses meaning in the dark. Tonight feels different. Voices above. Not the usual creaking footsteps of my captor, but multiple people. Shouting. Something crashes. Glass shatters. My heart hammers against my ribs as I push myself into the corner, making myself as small as possible. The chain scrapes across concrete. The door at the top of the stairs explodes inward. Wood splinters. Heavy boots thunder down the steps. Bright white light floods the basement, so intense I have to shield my eyes with my arm. Jesus Christ. The voice is male. Deep. Controlled rage barely contained beneath those 2 words. I can't see him yet. Just his silhouette against the blinding light behind him. Tall. Broad shoulders. He doesn't move for several seconds, just stands there 3 meters away. Get bolt cutters now. He barks the order to someone I can't see. And get Dr. Costa on the phone. Tell him I need him at the house in 20 minutes. I don't care what he's doing. The light adjusts as he moves closer. My eyes finally focus enough to see him properly. Dark hair, wet and plastered to his forehead. Rain drips from an expensive suit that clings to his frame. His face is angular, shadowed by stubble. But what catches me are his eyes. Dark brown, nearly black in this light, and burning with fury that makes me press harder into the corner. I'm not going to hurt you. His voice is softer now, carefully controlled. He crouches down, staying just out of reach. My name is Franco Ravellini. Do you understand me? I nod. My voice won't work. 3 months of screaming myself hoarse in the early days taught me that nobody comes when you scream. Can you tell me your name? Megan. The word comes out as a croak. Megan Turner. Something flickers across his face. Recognition? No, something else. He pulls out his phone, types something, then looks back at me. You're a nurse. You work at Chicago General. It's not a question, but I nod anyway. How does he know that? Another man appears at the bottom of the stairs, carrying large metal cutters. He takes one look at me and his expression hardens. Boss, I can see what this is, Nicholas. Franco takes the bolt cutters and approaches slowly, like I'm a wounded animal that might bolt. Megan, I'm going to cut this chain. The noise might be loud, okay? I nod again. When the metal parts with a sharp crack, the sudden absence of weight on my ankle makes me dizzy. Franco catches me before I pitch forward, his hands careful on my arms. Easy. When did you last eat? I can't remember. Yesterday? The day before? He curses in Italian under his breath and scoops me up like I weigh nothing. My instinct is to fight, to struggle, but my body won't cooperate. 3 months of minimal food and water have left me weak as paper. The car's waiting, boss. Nicholas is already moving up the stairs ahead of us. The house above is chaos. Men in dark suits are tearing through rooms, pulling out drawers, overturning furniture. I catch glimpses as Franco carries me through. Expensive artwork on walls, marble floors, a kitchen with gleaming appliances. This isn't a basement dungeon. This is someone's home. Someone wealthy. Rain hammers the driveway outside. Franco wraps his suit jacket around me before carrying me to a black car. The interior is warm, leather seats soft beneath me. He slides in beside me, and the car moves before I even process what's happening. Where? My voice breaks. My house. You need medical attention. Food. Rest. He's looking at his phone again, jaw tight. Nicholas, I want every person who had access to that property identified. Every single one. And find Roberto. I want him found tonight. Roberto. The name sends ice through my veins. Franco notices my reaction. His eyes lock onto mine. You know that name. It's not a question. Everything about this man deals in statements, in certainty. I swallow hard, tasting blood where I've bitten my cracked lips. 6 months ago, emergency room. He came in after a car accident. Minor injuries. The memories flood back. I was his nurse. He asked for my number. I said no. He insisted. I refused again. He left. Franco's hands curl into fists on his thighs. The leather of his gloves creaks. Roberto Ravellini is my younger brother. Was my brother. The correction is sharp. What he did to you is unforgivable. Brother. This man's brother kept me chained in a basement for 3 months. The car suddenly feels too small, too warm. My lungs can't find enough air. Breathe. Franco's hand hovers near my shoulder but doesn't touch. I know what you're thinking. But Roberto acts alone. Has for years. I didn't know about you. Nobody in my organization knew. How did you find me? Anonymous tip, 2 days ago. Someone called my private line and said to check the property on Lakeside Drive. His jaw clenches. Roberto's house. I went there tonight, expecting to find drugs, maybe stolen goods. Not. He cuts himself off. Not you. The car turns through iron gates that close behind us with a solid clang. The house at the end of the driveway makes the one we just left look modest. 3 stories of stone and glass, lit up against the night sky. An older woman meets us at the door, her face creasing with concern when she sees me. Dio mio. I don't speak Italian, but even I can hear the prayer in her voice. Lucia, prepare the blue room. Fresh sheets. And I need water, juice, whatever mild broth you have ready. Franco carries me inside without breaking stride. Dr. Costa is on his way. Of course, Signor Franco. Right away. The house smells clean. Lavender and lemon polish. So different from the damp earth and rot of the basement. Franco takes me upstairs to a bedroom that's larger than my entire apartment was. Soft blue walls, white linens, a bathroom visible through an open door. He sets me down carefully on the bed. For the first time since finding me, uncertainty crosses his face. I should let Lucia help you. It's not appropriate. He stops, seeming to realize how absurd propriety sounds after everything. I'll be right outside. Dr. Costa will be here soon. Wait. The word surprises us both. Why are you helping me? Franco looks at me for a long moment. Because my brother is a monster. And because when I saw you down there, I realized how far I've let things go. How much I've ignored because of family loyalty. He moves toward the door. Get some rest, Megan. You're safe now. The door closes softly behind him. I sit on the edge of the bed, still wrapped in his jacket that smells like expensive cologne and rain, and try to process what just happened. 3 months in hell, rescued by the brother of my captor, a man who clearly moves in the same dark world, but is treating me with more care than anyone showed me in the hospital where I used to work. Lucia returns with water and warm soup. Her hands are gentle when she helps me to the bathroom, staying close while I wash 3 months of grime from my skin. The shower water runs gray, then brown, finally clear. My reflection in the mirror is skeletal. Hollow eyes, matted hair that needs to be cut. The angry wound around my ankle where the chain ate into skin. You're safe here, Piccola. Lucia wraps me in a soft robe. Piccola. Little one. The endearment doesn't quite fit the angry wound around my ankle, but I cling to it anyway. Signor Franco. He is a good man. He will protect you. Will he? Or am I trading one prison for another? But when Dr. Costa arrives, examining my injuries with professional efficiency, and Franco stands in the corner watching with that carefully contained fury, I realize something. Whatever this situation is, whatever Franco Ravellini wants from me, it's not what Roberto wanted. And for now, in this moment, that's all I need to know. 4 days pass in a blur of medical examinations and cautious movements. Dr. Costa comes daily, checking the infection in my ankle, monitoring my vitals, adjusting medications. Lucia brings broth that gradually transitions to soft foods, then actual meals. My body remembers how to eat, how to process nutrients, but it's a slow awakening. I sleep more than I'm awake those first days. When I do surface, Lucia is always nearby with water, clean clothes, fresh bandages. She never asks questions, never pushes. Just provides steady maternal care that makes my chest ache with something I can't name. Franco is a ghost. I hear his voice sometimes, downstairs or in the hallway outside my room, deep timbre giving orders, asking questions, conducting business I don't understand. But he doesn't come in. Not since that first night. On the 5th morning, I wake feeling almost human. The fog in my head is cleared. My body, while still weak, responds when I tell it to move. I take a shower without Lucia's help for the first time, standing under the spray until the water runs cold. When I emerge from the bathroom, Lucia has laid out clothes on the bed. Not a dress or anything fancy. Simple jeans that look my size, a soft gray sweater, clean underwear still in packaging. The attention to detail is unsettling. Someone measured me while I was unconscious, or studied me closely to guess accurately. "Feeling better, Piccola?" Lucia asks from the doorway, her round face creasing with genuine warmth. "Yes, thank you." I pull on the clothes. They fit perfectly. "Lucia, how long am I staying here?" She smooths the bedspread that doesn't need smoothing. "As long as you need to heal. Signor Franco, he is very clear about this. You are not to worry about anything except getting strong again. And then what? Then you decide what comes next." She meets my eyes. "But first, you eat breakfast. You're still too thin." Breakfast is waiting in a small dining room adjacent to the kitchen. Scrambled eggs, toast, fresh fruit, coffee that smells like heaven. I'm halfway through the meal when Franco appears in the doorway. He looks different in daylight, still imposing, still carrying that aura of controlled danger. But there's fatigue around his eyes. His white dress shirt is rolled up at the sleeves, no jacket. More human, somehow. "May I join you?" I nod, not trusting my voice. He takes the seat across from me, pours himself coffee from the carafe on the table. We sit in silence for a minute. 2. The quiet should be awkward, but it isn't. It's almost companionable. "How are you feeling?" He finally asks. "Better. Stronger." I set down my fork. "Thank you for everything. The medical care, the clothes, the room. I know this isn't normal for you." "Normal?" He almost smiles. I'm not sure I know what that word means anymore. He takes a sip of coffee. "Megan, I need to ask you some questions. About what you remember. I understand if you're not ready, but the sooner I have information, the sooner I can find Roberto." My stomach clenches. I knew this was coming. "What do you want to know?" "You said he came to the emergency room 6 months ago. Do you remember the date?" "April 14th. It was a Tuesday. I remember because my shift was supposed to end at 7, but we were slammed with a multi-car accident. Roberto came in around 9. Franco pulls out his phone, makes notes. "Did he seem injured? Was the accident real?" The question makes me pause. I replay that night in my mind. His car had damage. Minor dents, broken taillight. He had a small cut on his forehead that I cleaned and bandaged. Complained of neck pain, so we did x-rays. Everything came back normal. Did he say anything unusual? Mention anyone else?" "No, he was charming at first. Made jokes, complimented my work, asked about my accent." I wrap my hands around my coffee mug. "I'm originally from Portland, Oregon. Moved to Chicago 4 years ago for a nursing position. My parents died in a car accident when I was 19. No siblings. Just me." Franco's expression shifts slightly. "Understanding, maybe. Or recognition of isolation that makes someone vulnerable." "Roberto asked for my number." I continue. "Said he'd like to take me to dinner, show me the city properly. I told him I was flattered but not interested. He asked again. I was firmer. He smiled, said it was my loss, and left. I didn't think about it again until... I trail off. Until you woke up in his basement." "Yes." Franco leans back in his chair, jaw tight. Roberto has always had issues with rejection. Our father enabled it, cleaned up his messes. When our father died 5 years ago, I took over the family business. I made it clear that I wouldn't cover for Roberto the same way. He resented that. What kind of business? The question escapes before I can stop it. He looks at me directly. You know what kind. You're not stupid, Megan. You've heard the name Ravellini. You know what it means in Chicago. I do. Organized crime. Protection rackets. Legitimate businesses used to launder money. The kind of family that owns half the politicians and scares the other half. I should be terrified. Instead, I'm strangely calm. I won't apologize for what I do, Franco continues, but I will tell you that I have rules. I don't deal in drugs. I don't hurt civilians. And I sure as hell don't kidnap women because they had the audacity to say no. His hands tighten into fists. What Roberto did to you violates every code I live by. So why did he do it? Why keep me alive for 3 months? Franco's face darkens. Because he's sick. Because somewhere in his twisted mind, he thought if he kept you long enough, broke you down far enough, you'd eventually want him. Stockholm Syndrome, but weaponized. The clinical term for my nightmare. I push my plate away, appetite gone. I need to know one more thing, Franco says quietly. Did he ever touch you? Beyond the chain, the captivity. Did he assault you? No. The word comes out firm. He never came down to the basement, just sent someone masked to bring food and water. Sometimes I'd hear him upstairs talking on the phone, watching television, living his life while I rotted below, but he never came down himself. Relief flashes across Franco's face. That's something, at least. It means he saw you as a long game, not immediate gratification. He planned to keep you for years if necessary. The thought makes bile rise in my throat. How long until you find him? I have every resource at my disposal searching. Roberto knows how to disappear, but he'll surface eventually. He always does. Franco stands. In the meantime, you stay here. This house is secure. Guards, cameras, protocols. You're safe. How long? I meet his eyes. How long do you expect me to stay hidden in your fortress? As long as it takes. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. He moves toward the door, then pauses. There's a library on the 2nd floor. Gym in the basement if you want to rebuild strength. Lucia can get you anything you need. Just ask. He's gone before I can respond. I sit alone in the dining room, surrounded by luxury I never asked for, protected by a man I barely know, hiding from a monster who wanted to own me. The next week settles into routine. I wake, eat breakfast, spend hours in the library reading medical journals and fiction. Lucia keeps me company, teaching me Italian phrases while we fold laundry or prepare meals. Dr. Costa visits every other day, pronouncing my recovery remarkable. The infection in my ankle is healing. My weight is climbing back toward normal. Physically, I'm getting better. Mentally, I'm a mess. Nightmares plague me almost nightly. I wake screaming, tangled in sheets, convinced I'm back in the basement. The 3rd time it happens, I hear footsteps in the hallway. Franco appears in my doorway, backlit by the hall light. Sorry, I gasp, trying to calm my racing heart. I didn't mean to wake you. You didn't. He stays in the doorway, respecting the boundary. I don't sleep much anyway. Is it always like this? The dreams? I don't know. I've never been where you've been. He's quiet for a moment. But I've seen men come back from war, from torture, from things that leave scars no one can see. The dreams fade eventually. Or, you learn to live with them. That's not particularly comforting. I don't do comfort. I do truth. He shifts his weight. Would it help if I stayed? Just until you fall asleep. I can sit in the chair. The offer surprises me. Why would you do that? Because you're in my house, under my protection, and you're afraid. If my presence helps, I'll provide it. It's not romantic. Not even particularly kind. It's pragmatic, transactional, and somehow that makes it easier to accept. Okay. He pulls the armchair from the corner to a spot near the window where he can see both the door and me. Sits down, long legs stretched out in front of him. Sleep. I'll be here. I don't think it'll work. but exhaustion pulls me under within minutes. When I wake at dawn, he's gone. The chair sits empty in the morning light. This becomes our pattern. I have nightmares. He comes. Sometimes he stays all night. Sometimes I fall back asleep quickly and he leaves. We never discuss it during the day. 2 weeks after my rescue, Dr. Costa arrives with unexpected news. You're healing exceptionally well, Megan. The infection is completely cleared. Your blood work is normal. You've gained back 10 pounds. He closes his medical bag. Physically, you're almost back to baseline. Almost? Your body needs more time to fully recover muscle mass and bone density. But you're not in danger anymore. Not medically, anyway. After he leaves, I find Franco in his study, surrounded by papers and computer screens showing security camera feeds. He looks up when I knock on the open door. Dr. Costa says I'm almost recovered. I heard. He turns off one of the monitors. That's good news. Is it? I step into the room. Because now comes the hard question. What happens next? Franco leans back in his leather chair, studying me. What do you want to happen? I don't know. The honesty feels raw. I can't go back to my apartment. Assuming I still have an apartment. I can't go back to work at the hospital. I've been missing for 3 months. They've probably filled my position. They have. He says it gently. I checked. You were declared dead 2 weeks ago. Presumed victim of foul play. There was a small memorial service. Dead. I'm legally dead. The room spins slightly. I can fix that. Franco continues quickly. My lawyers can handle the paperwork. Alive but recovering from trauma. Medical documentation supports it. You could have your life back within a month. And Roberto? Still searching. No leads yet. I sink into the chair across from his desk. So you want me to go back to my life? Pretend to be normal? And hope Roberto doesn't find me before you find him? No. Franco's voice is firm. If you leave this house, you'll have security. Round-the-clock protection. I won't risk Roberto getting to you again. For how long? Weeks? Months? Years? My voice rises. That's not a life, Franco. That's a different kind of prison. He doesn't argue because he knows I'm right. We sit in silence, the weight of impossible choices hanging between us. Finally, he speaks. There's another option. You stay here, not as a prisoner or a guest indefinitely protected. You stay as part of this household. We give you work, purpose, something beyond just surviving. Work? Doing what? Lucia needs help. The household runs smoothly, but she's getting older. Light duties. Managing supplies. Handling correspondence. Nothing dangerous. He pauses. And several of my men need medical attention regularly. Having a nurse on site would be valuable. You want me to be your house nurse and Lucia's assistant. I want you to have agency. Choice. Structure. He meets my eyes. I want you to feel like a person again, not just a victim I rescued. The offer is practical, almost cold in its logic, but it's also the first real choice anyone's given me in months. I need time to think about it. Take all the time you need. The offer stands. He turns back to his monitors, dismissing me politely. I spend the afternoon in the library, staring at the same page of a book without reading a single word. By evening, I've made my decision. I find Franco having dinner alone in the small dining room. I'll stay, temporarily, until Roberto is caught or until I figure out what comes next. Whichever happens first. He nods once. Fair terms? You'll start working with Lucia next week. Light duties, like I said, and my men know to treat you with respect or answer to me. One condition. Name it. You be honest with me. About the search for Roberto. About the dangers. About everything. I'm done being kept in the dark. Franco considers this, then extends his hand across the table. Deal. His hand is warm and calloused when I shake it. The gesture feels binding, like we've just signed an invisible contract that will reshape both our lives in ways neither of us can predict. Working with Lucia transforms my days from aimless recovery into structured purpose. She teaches me the rhythms of the household, the preferences of the staff, the invisible systems that keep this massive estate functioning smoothly. I learn which grocer delivers fresh produce on Tuesdays, which cleaners handle the delicate antiques, how Franco takes his coffee in the morning. The medical work comes naturally. Nicholas mentions casually that one of the security team twisted his knee during training. I examine it in the kitchen, determining it's a minor sprain that needs ice and compression. Word spreads. Within days, men are appearing with various injuries, treating me with careful respect while I clean cuts, wrap sprains, monitor chronic conditions they've been ignoring. I establish a small medical station in a spare room off the kitchen. Basic supplies at first, then Franco authorizes a full order of equipment. Stethoscope, blood pressure cuff, suture kits, antibiotics. Everything I need to provide decent care without sending someone to a hospital for minor issues. 3 weeks into this new routine, I'm inventorying bandages when Franco appears in the doorway. He's in workout clothes, face flushed from exercise, hair damp with sweat. One of the men said you needed to see me. Marcus has high blood pressure, dangerously high. He needs medication and lifestyle changes. I hold up the chart I've been keeping. I've documented 3 separate readings over the past week. He's at serious risk for stroke or heart attack. Franco takes the chart, scans my notes. I'll have Dr. Costa prescribe what he needs. He also needs to lose weight, reduce stress, stop smoking. I cross my arms. Those are harder to prescribe. I'm aware. Franco hands back the chart. Thank you for catching this. Marcus has been with my family for 20 years. I'd rather not lose him to something preventable. He turns to leave, then pauses. You're good at this. Taking care of people. It's what I trained to do. I file the chart away. Feels good to use those skills again instead of just being taken care of. Is that what you want? To go back to nursing eventually? The question catches me off guard. I don't know. My whole life was built around emergency medicine. Adrenaline, life or death decisions, constant chaos. After 3 months in a basement, I'm not sure I can handle that environment anymore. But this, I gesture around the small clinic space. This feels manageable. Franco leans against the doorframe. He looks different when he's relaxed like this. Less intimidating. You don't have to decide immediately. Take the time you need. Easy for you to say. You're not the one declared legally dead. Actually, I had my lawyers file the paperwork yesterday. You're officially alive again as of this morning. He pulls an envelope from his pocket. New social security card, updated driver's license, medical records showing you were recovering from trauma. All legal, all documented properly. I take the envelope with shaking hands. These simple pieces of identification represent my existence in the world again. How much did this cost? Does it matter? Yes. I don't like owing people. You don't owe me anything. His voice is firm. You were victimized by my brother. That makes your recovery my responsibility. That's not how responsibility works. It's how it works in my world. He straightens. There's something else you should know. Chicago General called. They got word you're alive. The hospital administrator wants to meet with you. Apologize for the premature death declaration. Discuss potential reemployment. My heart lurches. You told them where I am? No. I told them you're recovering in a secure location and would reach out when ready. He studies my face. Do you want to go back there? I don't know. The honesty feels raw. That hospital was my home for 4 years. My colleagues were the closest thing I had to family. But Roberto found me there. He knew my schedule, my routines. Going back feels like painting a target on myself. It would be dangerous, Franco agrees. Even with security, hospitals are too public. Too many access points. So what? I just never work in emergency medicine again? Let Roberto take that from me too? I didn't say that. I said it would be dangerous. There's a difference. He shifts his weight. You could work at a private clinic. Smaller scale, controlled access, easier to monitor. I know several physicians who run practices that would value a nurse with your experience. Let me guess. Physicians who owe you favors. Physicians who recognize talent when they see it. He doesn't deny the favors part. Think about it. You don't have to decide today. After he leaves, I sit in the clinic room, holding my new identification documents. Megan Turner, officially alive, officially free to rebuild. But freedom is complicated when you're still being hunted. That night, the nightmare returns with vicious clarity. I'm back in the basement, But this time Roberto's voice echoes from upstairs. He's laughing, telling someone that I belong to him, that Franco made a mistake by interfering. I wake screaming, sheets tangled around my legs like chains. Franco appears before I've even caught my breath. He doesn't ask, doesn't say anything, just pulls the armchair to its usual spot and sits down, silent presence in the darkness. They're getting worse, I finally say. The dreams. I thought they'd improve with time. Recovery isn't linear. His voice is quiet in the dark. Some days are better. Some are worse. That's normal. How do you know? I've seen enough broken people to recognize the pattern. He leans back in the chair. After my father died, I had nightmares for months. Not about his death, but about everything he'd done. Every compromise, every violent act, every line crossed. I'd wake up wondering if I'd become him. Did you? Become him? Franco is quiet for a long moment. In some ways, yes. In others, no. I run the same businesses, operate in the same world, but I try to be better, cleaner. I don't always succeed. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked earlier if I wanted you to go back to nursing. The truth is, I don't want you to leave at all, but that's selfish. Your life, your career, your healing should all come before my preference for your proximity. The admission hangs in the air between us. I should probably address it, acknowledge what he just revealed. Instead, I ask a different question. Do you ever regret the choices you made? Taking over the family business instead of going legitimate? Every day. No hesitation. But regret doesn't change reality. I can't undo 5 years of decisions. I can only try to do better going forward. Is that why you're helping me? Some kind of penance? No. He stands, moves to the window, silhouette dark against the moonlight filtering through curtains. I'm helping you because when I found you in that basement, chained like an animal, I realized how far my family had fallen. Roberto didn't become a monster in a vacuum. Our father enabled his worst impulses. I ignored the warning signs because dealing with them was inconvenient. Your suffering is partially my failure. That's not fair to yourself. You didn't kidnap me. No. But I created an environment where Roberto thought he could, where family loyalty meant covering up crimes instead of preventing them. He turns to face me. You're not penance, Megan. You're a reminder that my choices have consequences beyond spreadsheets and territory maps. Real people get hurt when I look the other way. I don't know what to say to that. The vulnerability is unexpected, unsettling. This man who commands an empire with absolute authority is standing in my room at 3 a.m, confessing his failures. Thank you, I finally say, for staying, for being honest, for everything. He nods once and returns to the chair. Go back to sleep. I'll be here. I do sleep, dreamless this time. When morning comes, Franco is gone, but there's a note on the chair. Simple message in neat handwriting. You're stronger than you know. The next few days pass in comfortable routine. I work with Lucia in the mornings, run the medical clinic in the afternoons. Franco and I maintain polite distance during the day, but he still comes when nightmares wake me. We never discuss what he said that night. Maybe we don't need to. On Friday, Nicholas finds me in the clinic, treating a guard who sliced his hand on broken glass. Miss Turner, there's someone here to see you. Franco cleared the visit. My stomach tightens. Who? Said her name is Sarah Mitchell. Claims she was your supervisor at Chicago General. Sarah. The head nurse who trained me, mentored me, became something close to a friend during long night shifts. I haven't heard her voice in months. Didn't know if anyone from the hospital still thought about me after my supposed death. I finish bandaging the guard's hand and follow Nicholas to a sitting room I've never been in before. It's formal but warm, decorated in cream and gold. Sarah sits on a sofa, hands clasped nervously in her lap. She's in her 50s, gray hair pulled into the same practical bun she always wore. When she sees me, her face crumples. Megan. Oh my God, Megan. She crosses the room in 3 steps and pulls me into a fierce hug. I stand stiff for a moment, then return the embrace. She smells like hospital antiseptic and the mint gum she constantly chewed during shifts. We thought you were dead, she says, pulling back to look at me. The police found your car in the parking lot. Blood on the driver's seat. They said someone attacked you. Probably killed you. Disposed of the body. We held a memorial. I spoke at it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Don't apologize. Sarah guides me to the sofa. Just tell me what happened. The lawyers who called only said you'd been found alive and were recovering from trauma. Nothing else. I tell her an edited version. Attacked in the parking lot, held captive for 3 months, rescued by someone connected to my attacker, recovering now in a secure location. I don't mention Roberto's name, don't specify Franco's exact relationship to the situation. Sarah listens without interrupting, tears streaming down her face. I should have walked you to your car that night, she says when I finish. You'd just worked a 16-hour shift. I should have made sure you got safely. This isn't your fault. I know, but I still feel it. She wipes her eyes. Are you coming back? The hospital wants you back. Your position is filled, but they'll create a new one. Whatever you need to make it work. The offer is tempting. Return to familiar territory, familiar faces, the career I built for 4 years. But when I imagine walking through those emergency room doors again, panic tightens my chest. I don't think I can. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Too many memories. Too much exposure. Sarah nods like she expected this answer. Then what will you do? I'm working here temporarily, providing medical care for the household staff. It's good work, meaningful, but it's not permanent. Because you're waiting for them to catch whoever took you. Yes. She takes my hand. Megan, I want you to know something. Whatever you decide about your career, wherever you end up working, you're an exceptional nurse. The best I've trained in 15 years. Don't let trauma steal that from you. After Sarah leaves, escorted out by Nicholas, I sit alone in the formal sitting room. Franco appears in the doorway, as if he's been waiting nearby. Your friend seems nice. She is. I stand, suddenly needing to move. She offered me my job back. Or a new position at the hospital. Are you going to take it? No. But hearing the offer helped somehow. Knowing I still have value outside these walls. Later, Sarah will send the occasional photo from the ER. Controlled chaos and tired smiles. A quiet reminder that world is still there if I ever want to step back into it. Franco crosses the room until he's standing close. Closer than he usually allows. You have value because of who you are. Not because of where you work. Though for what it's worth, the men you've treated here think you're some kind of miracle worker. I'm just doing my job. No. You're rebuilding yourself piece by piece while dealing with trauma that would break most people. That's not just anything. The intensity in his voice makes me look up. His dark eyes are fixed on mine. And there's something in his expression I can't quite name. Before I can analyze it, he steps back, putting distance between us again. I have a meeting. Lucia's making your favorite pasta tonight. Don't skip dinner. He's gone before I can respond, leaving me alone with the lingering warmth of his rare praise and the growing realization that this temporary arrangement feels less temporary every day. 1 month. That's how long I've been living in Franco's mansion when I realize I've stopped counting the days. The realization hits me during breakfast. Lucia sets down espresso and fresh bread, and I'm halfway through thanking her in Italian, words I've picked up from listening to Franco's phone calls, when I notice the calendar on the wall. March 15th. I disappeared October 7th. The math feels distant, like it belongs to someone else's life. Franco walks into the kitchen, still buttoning his shirt cuff. His hair is damp from the shower. He pours himself coffee without asking if I slept well, because he already knows. He stopped sitting in the chair 3 weeks ago. Now when the nightmares come, I find him reading in the hallway outside my room instead, close but not intrusive. Last night I didn't scream. We both noticed. Nicholas mentioned you've been asking about the library, he says, leaning against the counter. Not sitting. He rarely sits during breakfast. Always moving like stillness makes him vulnerable. I finish the medical journals. I tear off a piece of bread. I was hoping for something different. Fiction, maybe. His eyebrow lifts slightly. You don't strike me as someone who reads for escape. I'm not escaping. I'm remembering what it feels like to think about something other than survival. He studies me for a long moment, then nods. 2nd floor, East Wing. Anything you want. The library turns out to be exactly what I didn't know I needed. Floor-to-ceiling shelves, leather chairs positioned near tall windows, the kind of silence that feels intentional rather than empty. I pull down a worn copy of Dante's Inferno and find handwritten notes in the margins. The handwriting is precise, controlled, Franco's. That night, he asks what I chose. Your annotated copy of the Divine Comedy, I tell him over dinner. We've fallen into this pattern, eating together 3, sometimes 4 nights a week. Not planned, just coincidental. Or maybe not coincidental at all. You wrote that Dante got the political allegory wrong in Canto 6. I was 19 and thought I understood corruption. He cuts into his steak with surgical precision. I didn't. And now I know corruption isn't about betraying principles. It's about never having them to begin with. These conversations have become the strangest part of my new reality. Franco doesn't make small talk. He either says nothing or cuts straight to the bone of things. Tonight we discuss whether Virgil represents reason or merely the illusion of guidance. Last week, it was the ethics of triage in emergency medicine. He'd asked detailed questions about how I decide who gets treatment first when resources are limited. Before that, the architecture of Chicago's oldest buildings. He'd studied international business at Northwestern, I learn. Graduated top of his class. Had offers from consulting firms in New York, London, Singapore. What happened? I ask. My father had a stroke. Franco's voice doesn't change, but something in his posture does. Someone needed to take over the family operations. Roberto was 22 and too volatile. It fell to me. You could have said no. I could have. He sets down his fork. But watching my father build everything from nothing, then seeing it vulnerable because he couldn't let go, that taught me something. Power doesn't care about your plans. It cares about who's willing to hold it. I want to ask if he regrets it, but the question feels wrong. Franco doesn't deal in regrets. He deals in choices made and consequences accepted. On the 32nd day, something shifts. I'm suturing a cut on my own hand, stupid kitchen accident with a paring knife, when Franco appears in the doorway. He watches me work for a moment, then crosses the room and takes the needle from my fingers. Let me. I can do it myself. I know. He's already threading the next suture. But you don't have to. His hands are steady, surprisingly gentle. I watch his face while he works, noting the concentration in his eyes, the way his jaw tightens slightly when he pulls the thread through. When he finishes, he doesn't let go immediately. His thumb brushes the edge of the bandage, checking the tension. You're good at that, I say quietly. I've had practice. He releases my hand. You're not the first person I've stitched back together. The implication hangs between us. The violence embedded in that simple skill. But I don't pull away. Instead, I meet his eyes and see something I haven't allowed myself to acknowledge until now. He's looking at me the way I've caught myself looking at him when I think he's not paying attention. Neither of us moves. The alarm shatters everything. It starts as a low wail that escalates into a piercing shriek. Franco's entire body goes rigid. His hand shoots out, gripping my wrist. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough that I know this is serious. Stay behind me. Glass explodes somewhere on the first floor. Shouts. The unmistakable crack of gunfire. My heart stops. For one horrible second, I'm back in the basement, hearing footsteps above me, waiting for the door to open. But Franco's hand on my wrist grounds me. This is different. This time, I'm not alone. He pulls me into the hallway. Nicholas appears from nowhere, gun drawn, speaking rapid Italian into a radio. Franco answers in the same language, his voice commanding even as we're moving fast toward the east wing. More shots. Closer now. How many? Franco doesn't slow down. At least 6. Professional. They came through the perimeter simultaneously. Nicholas fires twice around a corner. They're not trying to breach. They're trying to flush. Franco stops so abruptly I collide with his back. His hand tightens on my wrist. They're here for her. The words land like a physical blow. Roberto. This is Roberto. We reach a section of wall that looks like every other panel of dark wood. Franco presses something and it swings inward, revealing a reinforced steel door with a biometric lock. He places his palm against the scanner, and the door clicks open. Inside. Now. The panic room is smaller than I expected. maybe 12 by 12 feet, concrete walls, a single bench, shelves stocked with water and medical supplies, backup power generator humming in the corner, a bank of monitors showing security feeds from around the property. Franco steps in behind me, and the door seals with a hydraulic hiss. Silence, thick and absolute except for our breathing. On the monitors, I watch men in tactical gear moving through Franco's house. They're systematic, checking rooms, overturning furniture, looking for me. How long can we stay here? My voice comes out steadier than I feel. As long as necessary. It's ventilated, reinforced. They'd need explosives to breach, and by then the authorities would already be on their way. He's watching the screens, tracking the intruder's movements. Nicholas has called in reinforcements. This will be over in under an hour. I sink onto the bench. The adrenaline is starting to ebb, leaving behind a familiar shaking in my hands. I press them against my thighs. Franco notices. He always notices. He sits beside me. Not close enough to crowd, but close enough that I can feel the heat radiating from him. For several minutes, neither of us speaks. We just watch the screens as his men engage the attackers, as the violence unfolds in grainy black and white. I underestimated him. Franco's voice is quiet, almost conversational, but there's an edge beneath it I haven't heard before. Roberto. I knew he was obsessive, vindictive. But this, sending professionals, coordinating a tactical assault, I didn't think he had the resources or the connections. You couldn't have known. I should have. He turns to look at me, and the carefully controlled mask he always wears has cracks in it. I brought you into my world thinking I could protect you from him. Instead, I made you a target. Again. The words hit differently than I expect. Not because they're true, though they are, but because of what they reveal. Franco doesn't apologize. He doesn't show weakness. But right now, in this sealed room with gunfire echoing through the monitors, he's offering me something raw. Stop. The word comes out sharper than I intend. You didn't make me anything. Roberto did this. He's the one who put me in that basement. He's the one who sent those men, not you. I gave you a room in my house instead of witness protection. I let you stay when I should have. You let me choose. I cut him off. That's what you did. You gave me options and I chose this. I chose to stay here. I chose to trust your judgment over the system that would have buried me in paperwork and safe houses, and still not guaranteed safety. My hands have stopped shaking. So don't you dare take that choice away from me by acting like I'm some helpless thing you miscalculated on protecting. Franco stares at me. On the monitors behind him, one of the attackers goes down. Nicholas's team is winning. You're not what I expected. He says finally. What did you expect? Someone broken. Someone who needed saving. His eyes search my face. But you were never broken, were you? Just trapped. There's a difference. Something unlocks in my chest. It's not relief or gratitude or any simple emotion. It's recognition. He sees me. Not as a victim, not as a responsibility, not as a problem to be solved. Just as someone who survived something terrible and came out changed but intact. The monitors show the last attacker being subdued. Nicholas appears on one screen, giving a thumbs up to a camera. It's over, I say. Franco doesn't move. Is it? I realize his hand is resting on the bench between us. My hand is inches away. I could close the distance. So could he. Neither of us does. We should go see the damage, I say instead. We should, but we sit there for another minute, maybe two, in the humming silence of the panic room. When we finally stand, Franco reaches for the door controls. His other hand finds mine. Just for a moment, fingers brushing palm. And then he's releasing the lock, and the real world comes flooding back in. The house looks like a war zone. Shattered glass, bullet holes in the walls, furniture overturned. Franco's men are zip-tying the two surviving attackers. Nicholas has a cut above his eyebrow, but seems otherwise unharmed. Franco doesn't let go of my hand immediately, and I don't pull mine away. Nicholas notices. His expression doesn't change, but I catch the slight nod he gives Franco. Acknowledgement, maybe approval. Get them to the warehouse, Franco orders, finally releasing me. I want to know everything. Who hired them, how much they were paid, what the original plan was. Already on it. Nicholas gestures to his team. We've also contacted our people downtown. The official story will be an attempted robbery. Franco nods. Then he turns to me. Pack a bag. We're moving to the north property tonight. This location is compromised. For how long? Until I'm certain Roberto doesn't have a third attempt planned. His jaw tightens. He's getting desperate. That makes him more dangerous, but also more likely to make mistakes. Over the next 72 hours, Franco transforms from the controlled, distant man I've come to know into something else entirely. He doubles the security detail, installs new systems, runs background checks on every single person in his organization. The northern property, smaller, more modern, positioned on 20 acres of wooded land, becomes our new fortress. But he also does something unexpected. He gives me access. Not full access to everything. I'm not naive enough to think that. But enough. Encrypted phone. Secure laptop. Permission to contact the few friends who still reach out occasionally, though the messages are monitored. He even arranges for me to have supervised visits to the city when I need them. Why? I ask on the fourth night in the new location. We're in his office, a sleek space with windows overlooking the dark woods. Because you were right. He doesn't look up from the documents he's reviewing. I can't keep you safe by keeping you in a cage. That just makes a different kind of prison. I never said that. You didn't have to. He finally meets my eyes. You're not a possession, Megan. You're a person who deserves autonomy, even in the middle of this mess. If I can't give you that, then what's the difference between me and Roberto? The question lands heavy in the room. There's a massive difference, I tell him. Roberto took my freedom because he felt entitled to me. You're giving it back because you respect that you never owned it in the first place. Something crosses his face. Relief, maybe. Or validation. He returns to his papers, but I notice his shoulders relax slightly. A week later, I start working remotely as a medical consultant for a nonprofit organization that provides healthcare guidance to underserved communities. Franco set it up, connected me with the director, made sure the technology was secure. I spend my mornings reviewing case files and advising on treatment protocols. It's not the same as being in a hospital, but it's purpose. It's contribution. It's proof that I'm still me. Franco asks about it during dinner that night. There was a case today. I tell him. A 7-year-old with symptoms that the local clinic misdiagnosed as flu. I caught the signs of early meningitis. They got her to a hospital in time. You saved her life. I did my job. He sets down his wine glass. It's more than that. You could have walked away from medicine entirely after what happened. Used trauma as an excuse to hide. Instead, you're finding ways to practice even from here. The same way you're finding ways to transition to legitimate business? I raise an eyebrow. Nicholas mentioned you've been in talks with tech investors. Franco's mouth quirks. Not quite a smile, but close. Nicholas talks too much. Or maybe you're not as opaque as you think. We're flirting. The realization hits me mid-conversation. This careful dance we've been doing for weeks has shifted into something else. Something more dangerous than Roberto, or midnight attacks, or any external threat. Because this, whatever is building between Franco and me, this could actually break me. The trauma I survived I can compartmentalize. The fear I can manage. But caring about someone who operates in a world of violence and moral complexity, someone who might not survive the next betrayal or power struggle, that terrifies me more than any basement ever could. Franco seems to sense the shift. He leans back in his chair, putting deliberate distance between us. You're thinking too loud, he observes. I'm thinking that this, us having dinner, talking like normal people, feels dangerous. It is. He doesn't deny it. Everything about this situation is dangerous, Megan. But pretending there's nothing here doesn't make it safer. It just makes it a lie. He's right. I know he's right. But knowing and accepting are vastly different things. I stand, suddenly needing space, needing air. I should get some sleep. Franco rises too. I'll walk you to your room. It's unnecessary. The house is secure. His men are everywhere. But I don't argue. We move through the quiet hallways in silence until we reach my door. Thank you, I say. for the work setup, for the freedom, for not treating me like I'm fragile. You're the furthest thing from fragile I've ever encountered. His voice is low, serious. Don't mistake caution for weakness. What you're doing, rebuilding yourself while still in the middle of chaos, that takes more strength than most people have. I should open the door, should say goodnight, should maintain the careful boundaries we've established. Instead, I ask, do you regret it? Finding me that night? Never. The answer is immediate, absolute. Do you regret that I did? I think about the basement, about the terror and isolation. Then I think about this month. The conversations, the growing trust, the strange sense of belonging I've found in the most unlikely place. No, I whisper. I don't. We stand there in the dim hallway, close enough that I can see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, close enough to feel the tension coiling between us. Franco lifts his hand, and for a heartbeat, I think he's going to touch my face. Instead, he reaches past me and opens my door. Good night, Megan. Good night. I step inside and close the door, press my back against it, listen to his footsteps retreating down the hall. My hand is still bandaged from the kitchen accident. I trace the edges of the gauze he applied, remembering the careful way he'd sutured the wound. The gentleness in hands that have undoubtedly caused terrible harm. I should be horrified by what I'm feeling. Should recognize the trauma bond for what it is. Should protect myself. But when I close my eyes, all I see is the way Franco looked at me in the panic room. Like I was worth protecting not because I was his responsibility, but because I mattered. And that, more than anything else, is what makes this truly terrifying. 6 weeks at the northern property, and the boundaries I've carefully maintained start blurring in ways I can't ignore. It happens in increments too small to protest. Franco appears in the kitchen doorway each morning with coffee prepared exactly how I prefer it. 2 sugars, splash of cream, heated to just below scalding. He never asks if I want it, just sets the mug beside my laptop and disappears before I can thank him. I return the gesture without planning to. After his boxing sessions with Nicholas in the converted garage, I'm waiting with ice packs and antiseptic when he comes inside. The first time, he'd looked at me strangely, but said nothing. Now it's routine. Yesterday I stitched a split knuckle while he sat motionless on the kitchen counter, watching my face instead of my hands. You should wear proper gloves, I'd said, focusing on the neat line of sutures. I should do a lot of things differently. When I finished and started to step back, his hand caught mine, not pulling, just holding. His thumb traced the scar on my wrist, faint now, but permanent evidence of the shackle. We stayed like that for maybe 30 seconds before he released me and left without another word. These moments accumulate. Conversations that stretch past midnight about Caravaggio's use of darkness, the ethics of Machiavelli, whether free will exists in a deterministic universe. Topics utterly divorced from the reality of hired guards and security protocols and the ongoing hunt for Roberto. I catch myself laughing at something Franco says about Kantian philosophy, and the sound startles me. When did laughter become possible again? What? He's leaning against the bookshelf, glass of wine in hand, looking more relaxed than I've ever seen him. Nothing, just, I forgot I could do that. His expression softens in a way that makes my chest tight. You're remembering a lot of things lately. He's right. I'm remembering what it feels like to be a person instead of a survivor, to have thoughts beyond fear and hypervigilance, to want something other than safety. The wanting is the dangerous part. On Tuesday, Franco mentions an event. Charity gala, Friday night. Legitimate operation, mostly business people trying to network. I'm expected to attend. Okay. I don't look up from the case file I'm reviewing. I'd like you to come with me. That gets my attention. Why? Because appearing alone reinforces certain assumptions about who I am. Having someone beside me, someone clearly intelligent and accomplished, changes the narrative. He pauses. Also because I'd prefer your company to making small talk with developers and venture capitalists alone. It's the second reason that convinces me. The honesty in admitting he wants me there, not just for strategy, but because he actually wants me there. I don't have anything appropriate to wear. That's already handled. Lucia has several options ready whenever you want to look at them. Of course, he's thought of everything. Control is Franco's native language. The dresses Lucia shows me Friday afternoon are beautiful, elegant without being ostentatious. Designer labels I recognize from hospital benefit dinners I could never afford to attend. I choose a deep emerald silk that fits like it was made for me. Probably was. Franco's reaction when I descend the stairs is subtle, but unmistakable. His eyes track from my face down to my heels and back up. He doesn't smile, but something in his posture shifts. "You look remarkable," he says simply. "You look presentable yourself." He's in a charcoal suit that probably costs more than my old monthly rent. But I've learned not to be impressed by expensive clothes. What strikes me is how comfortable he seems in this armor, the civilized veneer of wealth and power that conceals everything underneath. The drive to the hotel venue takes 40 minutes. Nicholas follows in a second car with 2 other guards. Even at a charity gala, Franco doesn't take chances. "Ground rules," he says as we approach the city. "Stay within sight. If anyone makes you uncomfortable, find me immediately. Don't accept drinks from anyone but the waitstaff. And even then, keep the glass in your hand at all times. You're bringing me to a party where I need a security briefing? I'm bringing you into a room full of people who would exploit any weakness they detect. That includes mine." His jaw tightens. "You're not a weakness, but they'll perceive you as one if they think they can use you against me. I need you aware of that." The honesty is jarring. He's not pretending this is a normal date or a simple social engagement. He's making sure I understand the stakes. "I can handle myself," I tell him. "I know you can, but you shouldn't have to handle it alone." The ballroom is exactly what I expected. Crystal chandeliers, ice sculptures, women in gowns that cost more than my nursing school tuition. What surprises me is Franco's transformation. He's charming, genuinely charming. Shaking hands with real estate moguls, discussing market trends with tech investors, making self-deprecating jokes about his father's old-school business philosophy. People gravitate toward him, men wanting his approval or partnership, women finding excuses to touch his arm. But he keeps me close. His hand finds the small of my back repeatedly throughout the evening, guiding me through conversations, including me in discussions, making it clear without words that I'm not an accessory but a partner. "Franco, you didn't mention you were bringing a date." A woman in red approaches, predatory smile fixed in place. "Megan, this is Diane Castellano. Her family owns most of the commercial real estate in the west suburbs." He doesn't address her comment about dating. "Diane, Megan is a medical consultant specializing in community healthcare." Diane's eyes sharpen. "How fascinating. Where did you two meet?" "Through mutual acquaintances," I say smoothly. Franco's hand presses slightly against my back. Approval. She loses interest quickly when it becomes clear there's no scandal to uncover, moving on to easier targets. "You're good at this." Franco murmurs near my ear. "Hospital politics aren't that different from this. Different stakes, same games." Throughout the night, I watch him navigate the room with surgical precision. He knows exactly who needs flattery, who responds to directness, who requires careful management. But I also notice what others might miss. The isolation beneath the performance. These people respect him. Some fear him. None of them know him, except maybe me. A man approaches who makes Franco's entire body go rigid. Older, silver-haired, expensive watch. "Ravellini, didn't expect to see you at something this wholesome. Marcus." Franco's voice could cut glass. "Still pretending your foundation actually helps people instead of laundering money?" The man's smile never wavers. "Still pretending you're anything other than your father's son?" I feel Franco's hand tighten against my back. Before he can respond, I step slightly forward. "I'm sorry. I don't believe we've met. I'm Megan Turner." I extend my hand with the professional courtesy I've perfected over years of dealing with difficult patients. Marcus has no choice but to take it. "Marcus Delacroix." "Mr. Delacroix, Franco mentioned you run a foundation. What's your focus area?" "I work in community healthcare, so I'm always interested in philanthropic initiatives." I can feel Franco's surprise, but he doesn't interrupt. I proceed to ask Marcus increasingly specific questions about his foundation's actual work, until it becomes painfully obvious he knows nothing about the operations. He excuses himself within 5 minutes, thoroughly deflated. That was strategic. Franco says once we're alone again. That was me being tired of men like him thinking they can insult people without consequence. Something flashes in his eyes. You defended me. I shut down an ass. There's a difference. But we both know there isn't. Not really. The drive back is quiet at first. I watch the city lights blur past, processing the evening. Franco drives himself this time, having sent Nicholas ahead. Did I make you uncomfortable tonight? He asks suddenly. No. I touched you frequently, kept you close. If that was... Franco. I turned to face him. I felt safer in that room full of criminals and con artists with your hand on my back than I ever felt walking to my car after a hospital shift in my old life. Does that make sense? Probably not. But it's the truth. He pulls over so abruptly I grab the dashboard. We're at some overlook I don't recognize. The city sprawling below us like scattered diamonds. We need to talk about this. His hands grip the steering wheel. What's happening between us? My heart hammers. Okay. It's not just protection anymore. It hasn't been for weeks. He turns to face me fully. I think about you constantly. What you're doing, if you're comfortable. Whether you smiled at something in your work today. I memorized how you take your coffee. I know you read the last page of books first to make sure they're worth the investment. I notice when you wear the green sweater because it's your favorite. Franco, let me finish. His voice is strained. People in my position don't have real relationships. We have transactions, arrangements, partnerships built on mutual benefit or necessary alliances. Having someone who actually matters, someone I care about beyond their utility, that's a vulnerability. That's a weapon someone can use against me. Against us, I correct quietly. Yes, against us. He exhales slowly. I'm trying to do the right thing here. I'm trying to warn you that what I'm feeling is dangerous. That being with me, really being with me, means accepting risks most people would run from. And what are you feeling? The question hangs between us. Outside, the city glitters indifferently. I'm feeling things I didn't think I was capable of anymore. He finally says. I'm feeling protective in ways that go beyond professional obligation. I'm feeling possessive when other men look at you. I'm feeling terrified that something might happen to you because of me. His eyes meet mine. I'm feeling like you're the first real thing I've encountered in a decade of carefully constructed lies. I should be cautious. Should remember that trauma bonds aren't love. Should protect myself from someone whose life is built on violence and moral compromise. But I'm so tired of being careful. I'm scared, I admit. Not of you, of this, of caring about someone when my life already fell apart once. Of building something that might get destroyed. I take a breath. But I'm also tired of letting fear make all my decisions. What are you saying? I'm saying I don't know what this is between us. I'm saying it probably is dangerous and complicated and potentially destructive. I reach across the console, placing my hand over his. I'm saying I don't care enough to walk away from it. Franco's hand turns, lacing his fingers through mine. You should care. You should protect yourself. From what? More trauma? Already survived that. Uncertainty? Living in your house under protection is already uncertain. Caring about someone complicated? I laugh without humor. Franco, my life stopped being simple the night I woke up chained in a basement. There's no safe option anymore. There's just different kinds of risk. And this, us, that's a risk you're willing to take? Are you? He doesn't answer with words. Instead, he lifts our joined hands and presses his lips to my knuckles. A gesture so unexpectedly tender, it makes my breath catch. I'm willing, he says against my skin. God help us both. But I'm willing. We sit there in the parked car overlooking the city, holding hands like teenagers. And I think about how nothing in my life prepared me for this moment. Not nursing school, not years of emergency medicine, not even surviving 3 months of captivity. Because this, choosing to care about someone despite every logical reason not to, this requires a different kind of courage entirely. Eventually, Franco starts the car. The drive back is silent, but his hand finds mine across the console and stays there. When we reach the house, he walks me to my room like he does every night. But tonight feels different. Tonight we've acknowledged what's been building for weeks. Good night, Megan, he says at my door. Good night. He doesn't leave immediately. Neither do I. We stand in the hallway, close enough that I can see the conflict in his eyes. Wanting to stay, knowing he should go. Finally, he steps back. Sleep well. I watch him walk away, then close my door and lean against it. That night, I have the worst nightmare in weeks. I'm back in the basement. But this time when the door opens, it's not Franco who finds me. It's no one. The door stays open, and I stay chained and nobody comes. I wake up gasping, disoriented. Reach for the glass of water on the nightstand and knock it over. The crash sounds deafening in the quiet house. I wait for Franco's familiar footsteps in the hallway. The shadow under my door that means he's out there, reading, keeping watch. Nothing. The silence is worse than the nightmare. He's giving me space, respecting boundaries, doing exactly what he should do after the conversation we had, and it hurts more than any comfort would have helped. I lie awake for the rest of the night, staring at the ceiling, understanding for the first time that the distance between us isn't protection. It's just distance, and I hate it. 2 months. Around 8 months since the hospital parking lot, though some days it still feels like I'm still lying on that concrete. The number feels significant when Franco mentions it during breakfast, though he's talking about something else entirely, a business merger timeline, nothing to do with us. But I count differently now. 2 months since he found me. 8 weeks since the gala. 56 days of this strange life where I'm simultaneously safer than I've ever been, and more vulnerable than I can articulate. The call comes on a Tuesday afternoon while I'm reviewing patient charts for the nonprofit. Franco's in his office with the door closed, which usually means sensitive business. When he emerges 3 hours later, his expression is carefully neutral. "We need to talk," he says. Those 4 words make my stomach drop. Nothing good ever follows them. We sit in the living room. He doesn't pour himself a drink, which tells me he needs complete control for this conversation. Roberto made contact. The name alone sends ice through my veins. I haven't heard it spoken aloud in weeks. We've existed in this bubble where he's a distant threat, not an immediate reality. When? My voice is steadier than I feel. This morning, through an intermediary, someone neutral enough that it's not an obvious setup. Franco leans forward, elbows on his knees. He wants to negotiate. Information about rival families in exchange for safe passage out of the country, and enough money to disappear permanently. You don't believe him. No. It's a trap. Question is what kind and for whom. His eyes meet mine. But it's also an opportunity. First time he's surfaced with a concrete location and time frame. If I can control the variables, I can end this. Something in his phrasing catches my attention. When is the meeting? Tomorrow night. Warehouse district, neutral territory. Tomorrow? I stand abruptly. You've already agreed to it. Yes. And you're telling me now because you deserve to know before it happens. The anger that floods through me is so sudden and fierce it takes me by surprise. Before it happens. Not before you decided. Not so I could have input. Just informing me of your decision about my own safety. Franco's jaw tightens. This isn't about you. How is Roberto not about me? My voice rises. He kidnapped me. Kept me chained in a basement for 3 months. Sent armed men to kill me. But this negotiation about him isn't about me. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Because from where I'm standing, you made a unilateral decision about the most dangerous person in my life without consulting me at all. I'm pacing now, too agitated to sit. You just decided, arranged everything, and now you're informing me like I'm some subordinate who needs to be briefed. I'm trying to protect you. He stands too. That controlled calm starting to crack. If you were involved in the planning, you'd want to be there. And that's not happening. You don't get to make that choice for me. Yes, I do. Not because I own you or control you, but because I'm the one who has to live with the consequences if something happens to you. His voice is hard now, frustrated. You want agency? Fine. But agency doesn't mean charging into situations that could get you killed just to prove a point. Is that what you think this is? Me trying to prove a point? I stop pacing, facing him directly. Franco, I survived 3 months in hell. I survived an armed assault on your house. I've rebuilt my entire life from nothing while living in protective custody. And you still see me as someone too fragile to handle the reality of confronting the man who did this to me. I see you as someone I care about too much to risk unnecessarily. The admission stops me cold. He's breathing hard, hands clenched, looking like every word is being dragged out of him. You think I don't understand risk? I say quietly. I'm living in your house. I'm falling for a man whose business involves violence and moral compromises I can't even fully comprehend. I know about risk, Franco. What I can't handle is being sidelined from my own life, because you've decided what's best for me. We stare at each other across the room. The silence stretches taut. What do you want? He finally asks. I want to be part of the decision. I want to know the plan. I stop, recognizing the impossibility of what I actually want. I want to face him, but I also know that's not tactical or safe or smart. Franco crosses the distance between us, stops close enough that I have to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. You're right, he says. I should have told you before I agreed. Should have included you in the planning. That was wrong. The apology surprises me. Franco doesn't apologize easily. So what now? I ask. Now we compromise. You don't go to the meeting. That's non-negotiable, and I think you understand why. But you're not shut out completely. He pulls out his phone, shows me something I don't fully understand but looks like surveillance equipment. You can listen to everything in real time. Audio and video feeds. Nicholas will be with you at a secure location. If anything seems wrong, you warn me immediately. You're not a spectator. You're active intelligence. It's not what I wanted, but it's more than I expected him to offer. Okay, I say. Okay? Don't push it. I'm still angry with you. His mouth quirks. Almost a smile. Fair. The next 24 hours crawl by. Franco spends most of it coordinating with his team, running through scenarios, preparing for every possible variation of betrayal. I try to focus on work, but keep reading the same paragraph over and over. That evening, Nicholas drives me to what he calls an auxiliary location, a high-rise condo downtown that belongs to one of Franco's shell companies. Top floor, reinforced, excellent sightlines. He sets up the monitoring equipment while I watch. He's going to be fine, Nicholas says without looking at me. Franco's survived worse situations than this. Has he survived situations where his brother tried to kill someone he cares about? Nicholas pauses. No, that's new territory. But if anything, that makes him more dangerous, not less. The feed comes online at exactly 8:15. Multiple camera angles of an abandoned warehouse. Audio from the wire Franco's wearing. I watch him arrive with 4 men. They position themselves strategically, while Franco walks to the center of the empty space. Waiting. At 8:30, a car pulls up. Roberto emerges alone, though I can see at least 2 other figures staying in the vehicle. He looks different than I remember. Thinner, with shadows under his eyes. Good. I hope he hasn't slept well. Franco. Roberto's voice comes through the speakers. Didn't think you'd actually show. Let's skip the reunion and get to business. Franco's tone is flat, businesslike. You said you have information. I do. Names, operations, supply chains for the Castellano family. Everything you'd need to expand into their territory when they collapse. Roberto moves closer. But first, we talk terms. Terms were already stated. Information in exchange for exile and funding. That was the opening offer. I've been thinking about what I really want. Roberto stops about 10 feet from Franco. You took everything from me. My reputation, my family, my place in the organization. All because of some nurse who wouldn't give me the time of day. Every muscle in my body goes rigid. Nicholas glances at me but says nothing. This isn't about her, Franco says. This is about you kidnapping and torturing an innocent woman for 3 months because your ego couldn't handle rejection. My ego? Roberto laughs bitterly. You've always had everything. Father's approval, the organization, respect. I had scraps. And the one thing I wanted, one woman who should have been flattered by my attention. She looked at me like I was nothing. Because you are nothing. You proved that when you put her in chains. I watch Roberto's face change on the monitors, the wounded pride morphing into something uglier. Where is she now? Roberto asks. Living in your house? Warming your bed? That's rich. You always did take my things. She was never your thing to take. She's not mine either. She's a person who you victimized. Spare me the moral superiority. You think you're different than me? You've killed people, Franco. Destroyed families. At least I'm honest about what I am. You're honest about nothing. You're a coward who preys on women. Franco's voice drops dangerously low. Now give me the information or stop wasting my time. Roberto reaches into his jacket. Franco's men tense immediately, but he pulls out a flash drive. It's all here. But before I hand it over, I want to know, is she here? Did you bring her to watch? He hesitates. Just half a second too long on the question. And that's when I see it. On the secondary camera feed, the one showing the perimeter, 3 figures moving into position, not near Franco, near the street where a van is parked, the van that supposedly brought me here. Nicholas. My voice is urgent. The van. He's targeting the van. Nicholas is already moving, pulling up additional camera angles. He thinks you're in it. This isn't a trap for Franco. The realization makes me cold. It's a trap for me. Roberto doesn't want exile. He wants revenge, Nicholas finishes. He's on the radio immediately, speaking rapid Italian. On the main monitor, I watch Franco's posture change. He got the warning. She's not here, Franco says calmly. Too calmly. Did you really think I'd bring her to meet you? You're lying. The van is empty. Has been the whole time. Franco gestures, and one of his men opens the van's back doors remotely. Nothing inside but surveillance equipment. Roberto's face twists. You knew. I suspected. You're not subtle, brother. You never were. It happens fast after that. Roberto signals and his hidden shooters emerge, but they're focused on the wrong target, converging on an empty vehicle. Franco's men are already moving, flanking positions they'd established hours ago. The warehouse erupts in controlled chaos. I watch it unfold across multiple screens, heart hammering. Franco stays eerily still in the center of it all, protected by his team while Roberto's hired guns are systematically disarmed and subdued. Roberto tries to run. Makes it maybe 20 feet before Nicholas, when did he leave the condo? Appears from nowhere and tackles him to the ground. It's over in under 3 minutes. On the monitor, Franco walks over to where Roberto is being restrained, crouches down to his eye level. The audio is muffled, but I hear him say something in Italian. Roberto spits at him. Franco doesn't react, just stands and nods to his men. Target secured, a voice says through the radio, bringing him to the primary location. Nicholas reappears in the condo doorway, slightly out of breath. We're clear. Franco's on his way here. Roberto? Alive. For now. That's up to the boss to decide next steps. I should feel relief. Victory. Something. Instead, I just feel numb. Franco arrives 20 minutes later. He's not injured, but there's blood on his shirt that I don't think is his. When he sees me, something in his expression cracks. You were right, I say before he can speak. I shouldn't have been there. If I had been in that van. But you weren't, because you trusted me to plan this correctly. He crosses to where I'm sitting, kneels so we're at eye level. You trusted me, and you were the one who caught what I missed. You saved yourself, Megan, by being smart, staying alert, working with me instead of against me. Is he? I can't finish the question. Secured. Contained. He won't hurt anyone again. Franco's hands find mine. Tomorrow, I'll give you options. What happens next is partially your choice. Tonight, can we just stay here? I grip his hands tighter. Not think about tomorrow yet? Yes. Nicholas quietly excuses himself. Franco sits beside me on the couch, and I lean into him without thinking about it. His arm comes around my shoulders, solid and warm. I'm still angry about you not telling me initially, I murmur. You should be, but I'm also grateful you kept me safe. Those things can both be true. We sit in silence, watching the city lights through the window. Somewhere out there, Roberto is in custody. The nightmare that's defined my life for months is contained. But sitting here with Franco, I realize the real terror isn't what happened. It's what comes next. Now that the immediate threat is neutralized, what reason do I have to stay in his world? What reason does he have to want me to? The questions sit heavy between us. unspoken, but present. Franco's thumb traces circles on my shoulder. I focus on breathing. Tomorrow we'll deal with Roberto, with consequences and decisions and the aftermath. Tonight, we just sit together in the dark, holding on while we still can. Roberto sits in the secure room, wrists bound loosely to the chair. Not out of cruelty, Franco doesn't operate that way, but practicality. The space is clean, temperature controlled, nothing like the basement where he kept me. That distinction matters. Franco offered me a choice the night before. You don't have to see him. You don't owe him closure or confrontation or anything. But if you want it, I'll be there with you. I chose to go. Not for Roberto, but for myself, to see him powerless, to speak without fear for the first time since that hospital encounter 6 months ago. Now I stand in the doorway, Franco beside me, and Roberto lifts his head. His face is thinner, circles under his eyes. He looks diminished. Good. Megan. He says my name like we're old friends, like he didn't steal 3 months of my life. I step inside, keeping my voice level. I'm not here to listen to you. I'm here so you can listen to me. His jaw tightens. Always so self-righteous. You could have just given me your number. None of this would have happened. You're right, I say, and his eyebrows lift in surprise. If I'd given you my number after you harassed me at the hospital, maybe you would have left me alone. Or maybe you would have escalated anyway because rejection wasn't actually the problem. Control was. I never wanted to hurt you. I just wanted to own me, to punish me for making you feel small. I cross my arms. You didn't see me as a person. You saw me as a thing you were entitled to, and when I said no, you decided I needed to be broken until I said yes. Roberto's face flushes. Franco poisoned you against me. You think he's better? He's killed people, Megan. Destroyed families. At least I'm honest about what I wanted. You're honest about nothing. I lean forward slightly. You tell yourself stories where you're the victim, where everyone else wronged you. But the truth is simpler. You're a coward who couldn't handle rejection, so you turned it into violence. And you're a victim playing house with a criminal. His voice rises. How long until he gets tired of you? How long until you become just another problem to solve? Franco speaks for the first time, voice cold. You don't get to talk about her. Roberto laughs bitterly. Still protecting her. That's rich. You couldn't even protect her from me when I was using your own people to get to her. The words land heavy. Franco's posture goes rigid beside me. What did you say? Franco's question is quiet. Dangerous. You really didn't know? Roberto looks genuinely surprised. Someone in your organization fed me her schedule. Hospital shifts, routes she took home when she'd be alone. I didn't just randomly grab her off the street, brother. I had help. Inside help. The temperature in the room seems to drop. Franco's hand moves to his phone, but he doesn't break eye contact with Roberto. Who? Why would I tell you that? It's the only leverage I have left. Roberto leans back as much as the restraints allow. You want the name? Give me what I asked for. Exile. Money. Freedom. You're not in a position to negotiate. Neither are you. Because if something happens to me, that person keeps operating in your organization, keeps feeding information to whoever pays. Maybe next time it's not about a rejected nurse. Maybe it's about your business, your territories, your life. Roberto's smile is ugly. So yes, brother, I am in a position to negotiate. I watch Franco process this, see the calculation behind his eyes. He's weighing options, running scenarios. Finally, he pulls out his phone and types something. Nicholas will bring you a written agreement. Full disclosure of every name, every detail of how this was arranged. In exchange, witness protection and relocation. Not exile on your terms, but supervised removal from Chicago under federal oversight. You'll testify against your collaborator. That's the deal. That's prison by another name. That's the only offer you're getting. Take it or I turn you over to the FBI right now with nothing. Roberto stares at the ceiling, thinking. I watch him search for angles, for loopholes. There aren't any. Finally, he nods. Fine, but I want it in writing. Every detail. Done. Franco turns to me. Are you finished? I look at Roberto one last time. 6 months ago, this man nearly destroyed me. Now he looks pathetic, desperate, scrambling for scraps of control. I survived you, I tell him quietly. That's all I needed to say. We leave him there. Nicholas is already waiting outside with documents, moving with the efficiency that's become familiar. Franco doesn't speak until we're back in his office, door closed. I should have seen it. His voice is tight with controlled fury. Someone close enough to know your patterns, to access scheduling information. I should have investigated everyone immediately. You were focused on finding Roberto and keeping me safe. You can't predict every betrayal. Yes, I can. That's my job. He slams his hand on the desk, the only outward display of anger. That's what I do. Anticipate threats, identify weaknesses, protect what matters. And I failed. You didn't fail. I'm here. I'm safe. Roberto is contained. Because you got lucky. Because the person he hired was incompetent with the van surveillance. He turns to face me fully. Don't you understand? You could have died because I missed something. I cross to where he stands. Stop. We're going to find whoever helped him. You're going to handle it the way you handle everything. Methodically, completely. But blaming yourself for not being omniscient isn't productive. He looks at me like he wants to argue. But the fight drains from his posture. How are you the one comforting me right now? Because you've been carrying everything alone for too long. Let me help. His hand finds mine, grip tight. We stand like that while Nicholas works outside, while the machinery of Franco's organization moves to identify the traitor, while Roberto sits in his secure room with no moves left to make. 24 hours later, they have a name. Marco Santini, logistics coordinator, 17 years with the organization. The betrayal cuts deep. Not just because of the access he had, but because Franco trusted him. The interrogation is swift. Santini admits everything. Roberto approached him 8 months ago with an offer too lucrative to refuse. Information about Franco's personal life, about anyone who might be vulnerable. When Roberto fixated on me after the hospital encounter, Santini provided my schedule, my address, my usual routes. Why? Franco asks him, voice devoid of emotion. Roberto promised me a position when he took over. Said you were too soft, too focused on going legitimate. That the old ways were dying under your leadership. Santini doesn't look remorseful, just resigned. I bet on the wrong brother. Franco nods slowly. Yes, you did. The consequences are final. Santini is handed to federal authorities with evidence of multiple crimes unrelated to my kidnapping. Insurance fraud, money laundering, witness tampering. Charges that will guarantee decades in prison. Franco doesn't dirty his hands with revenge. He doesn't need to. Roberto, true to his agreement, provides a full statement. The federal prosecutors build their case with mechanical precision. I give my testimony in a conference room with lawyers and agents, recounting 3 months of captivity with clinical detachment. Franco waits outside, and when I emerge, he doesn't ask how it went, just hands me a bottle of water and waits for me to breathe. The trial is set for 6 months out, but the outcome is foregone. Too much evidence, too many witnesses, too clear a pattern of predatory behavior. Roberto will spend the next 20 years minimum in federal prison. It's over, Nicholas says one evening as we review the final documents. Officially over, but it doesn't feel over. It feels like the beginning of something else entirely. The question Franco and I have been avoiding since Roberto's capture. What happens now? The answer comes 3 days later when Franco finds me in the library, staring at my laptop without really seeing it. I've been thinking. He starts, then stops. Franco never hesitates. The fact that he is now tells me this matters. About what comes next. For you, my heart rate picks up. Okay, you have options. Full options, not the limited ones I gave you before. He sits across from me, maintaining space. Witness protection can give you a new identity, new city, complete fresh start. Or I can arrange something similar privately. Better resources, more control over the details. Either way, you'd be safe to rebuild your life however you want. Those are the running away options. What are the staying options? His eyes search mine. Staying means accepting that my world will never be completely safe or normal. I'm transitioning to legitimate business, but that takes years. There are still enemies, still complications, still risks I can't entirely eliminate. That's not an answer to my question. The staying option is this. He leans forward. You build whatever life you want. Clinic work, hospital position, private practice, whatever matters to you. You live in a place you choose, not a safe house. You have freedom and autonomy, but you're also part of my life, as much or as little as you're comfortable with. I'm not asking you to be hidden away or protected like a possession. I'm asking if you want to try something real with me, knowing it will be complicated. And if it doesn't work, if I decide 6 months from now that this is too much, then you leave. With resources, protection, whatever you need. No pressure, no obligation. His voice drops lower. I'm not Roberto, Megan. I won't trap you. If you stay, it has to be because you want to. Every single day. I close my laptop, giving him my full attention. I want to stay. But I need you to understand something. I'm not staying because I need protection anymore. I'm not staying because I'm grateful or traumatized or confused. I'm staying because when I think about my future, you're in it. That scares me, but leaving scares me more. Something in his expression shifts. Relief, maybe, or hope. I'm scared too, he admits. I've built everything in my life on control and calculation. You're neither of those things. You're a variable I can't predict, and that should terrify me. But it doesn't. It just makes me want to try. Then we try, I say simply. He stands, offering his hand. I take it, and he pulls me up. For a moment we just stand there, close enough that I can see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from him. Thank you, he says quietly. For what? For not running. For seeing past what I am to who I'm trying to become. For giving me a reason to want to be better. You were already becoming better. I just happened to be here to see it. He kisses me then. Soft and careful, like I'm something precious. It's nothing like the passion of movies or the desperation of trauma bonds. It's simply two people choosing each other, complicated and imperfect and real. When we pull apart, he rests his forehead against mine. Where do you want to live? The question is so domestic, so normal that I almost laugh. Somewhere with windows, lots of natural light. Maybe a kitchen where I can actually cook. I know a place. Not a mansion, not a fortress. Just an apartment with good light and a kitchen. We could look at it tomorrow if you want. Tomorrow sounds perfect. That night, I don't have nightmares. I sleep deeply, dreamlessly, and wake to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. Franco is already awake, coffee made, sitting by the window reading. Morning, I murmur. He looks up, and the small smile he gives me is worth everything we went through to get here. Morning, 3 months after Roberto's conviction. The apartment Franco mentioned has floor-to-ceiling windows facing east, catching morning light that fills the open kitchen. It's smaller than any property he owns, but it feels like mine in ways the mansion never did. I'm unpacking books when my phone rings. The clinic director, asking if I can consult on a pediatric case tomorrow. I accept without hesitation, then realize I didn't check with Franco first. Don't need to. This is my decision, my career, my life rebuilt on my terms. Franco arrives home. That word still feels foreign but increasingly right. Carrying takeout from the Italian place 3 blocks over. Not the expensive restaurant his associates frequent. Just a neighborhood spot with good pasta and no questions. How was the transition meeting? I ask, setting plates on the counter. He loosens his tie, looking tired, but satisfied. Productive. The tech investors are ready to move forward with the legitimate holdings. Nicholas will run the legal operations while I phase out everything else. How long will the phase out take? 2 years, maybe 3. Some connections can't be severed overnight without causing problems. He pauses, measuring his next words. I won't pretend it's clean. There's still risk, still complications from past decisions. But I'm committed to this path. I know you are. I hand him a fork. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. We eat in comfortable silence. The kind that develops between people who've seen each other at their worst and chosen to stay anyway. Outside, the city moves through its evening rhythms, traffic, voices, the ordinary chaos of life continuing. The clinic called, I mention. There's a case tomorrow I want to take. You don't need to ask permission. I'm not asking. I'm telling you because you're part of my life now. There's a difference. His expression softens. Fair point. What's the case? I explain the details. A 7-year-old with complex symptoms, family without insurance, clinic struggling to provide adequate care. Franco listens with the same focus he brings to business negotiations. What do they need? He asks when I finish. Better diagnostic equipment, specialist consultations they can't afford. But the clinic's funding is limited. Send me the details. I'll make sure they have what they need. Franco. Not as a favor to you, as an investment in legitimate community work. The foundation I'm establishing needs projects like this. He meets my eyes. Let me do something good with resources that came from questionable places. Please. The sincerity in his voice reminds me why I chose this complicated man over safer options. He's genuinely trying to become better. Not just appear better. Okay, I agree. But the clinic director deals directly with your foundation. I stay out of the financial arrangements. Agreed. Later that night, I'm reviewing medical journals when Franco emerges from his office looking troubled. I set aside my reading. What's wrong? He sits heavily on the couch beside me. I got word that Roberto's asking for a meeting. Through his lawyers, completely official channels. He wants to speak with me before his final sentencing hearing next month. My stomach tightens at the name. What does he want? Unknown. Could be genuine attempt at closure. Could be manipulation. His lawyer claims it's about family matters he needs to resolve. Are you going? That depends. He turns to face me fully. On whether you're comfortable with it. He's your trauma too, not just mine. If you don't want me engaging with him at all, I won't. The fact that he's asking, that he recognizes my stake in this decision, matters more than the answer itself. I think you should go, I say carefully. Not for him, for you. To close that chapter completely. Come with me? The request surprises me. You want me there? I want you to have the choice. If seeing him again would help you, or if you'd rather never lay eyes on him, either is valid. But I won't hide this from you or make decisions about him without your input. I consider it. The last time I saw Roberto was at the trial, watching him sentenced to 23 years for kidnapping, assault, conspiracy. He'd looked diminished, defeated. Seeing him now, in a controlled setting, might provide closure I didn't know I needed. I'll come, I decide. But I'm not speaking to him. I'm there to support you, and witness whatever he has to say. That's all. That's more than he deserves. The meeting is arranged for the following week at the Federal Detention Center. We pass through security, surrender our phones, sit in a monitored room with guards stationed at each exit. Roberto arrives in orange jumpsuit, wrists shackled, looking older than his 31 years. His eyes find me first. You brought her. She chose to come. Franco corrects. What did you want to discuss? Roberto sits awkwardly, chains restricting his movement. For a long moment, he just stares at the table between us. I've had time to think, he finally says, about choices I made, people I hurt. My lawyer suggested I make amends as part of my sentencing consideration. But that's not why I'm here. He looks up at Franco. I need you to know I understand what I did to our family. To you. Franco's expression remains neutral. Go on. Growing up, I resented you for being everything I wasn't. Smarter, stronger, father's favorite. When he died and you took over, that resentment became hatred. Roberto's voice cracks slightly. I told myself you stole my birthright, that I deserve power you claimed. But the truth is, I was never capable of leading. I was always destructive. Is this supposed to be an apology? Franco asks coldly. No. Apologies are meaningless for what I've done. This is acknowledgement. Roberto glances at me briefly. I destroyed an innocent person's life because I couldn't handle rejection. I betrayed my own brother because jealousy mattered more than loyalty. Those aren't mistakes. They're character revelations. The room falls silent, except for the hum of fluorescent lights overhead. I watch Franco process his brother's words, searching for manipulation or sincerity. Why tell me this now? Franco finally asks. Because you're moving forward, building something legitimate, something good, and I need you to do that without guilt about me. Roberto's hands clench despite the restraints. You didn't fail me. I failed myself. Whatever happens to me in here, that's consequence, not tragedy. Franco stands abruptly. Is that everything? Almost. Roberto looks directly at me for the first time. I can't apologize to you. Nothing I say would matter or change what I did, but I want you to know that you surviving me, rebuilding your life, finding happiness with my brother. That's the best punishment I could receive. You won. Completely. I don't respond. There's nothing to say to that. We leave without further conversation. In the car, Franco grips the steering wheel tightly, but doesn't start the engine. Do you believe him? I ask quietly. I don't know. Part of me thinks it's genuine realization. Part of me sees strategy, painting himself as reformed for the sentencing hearing. He exhales slowly. Either way, it doesn't change anything. He's still responsible for everything he did. Agreed. Franco starts the car. We drive in silence until he pulls over at the same overlook where we first acknowledged our feelings months ago. I need to say something. He begins. Seeing him today, hearing him talk about choices and consequences, it reminded me that I'm making my own choice every day. To leave that world behind. To build something better. To be worthy of you. Franco, let me finish. He takes my hand. You didn't just survive Roberto. You survived everything that came after. Living in my world. Accepting its complications. Staying when you had every reason to run. You chose to see potential in me when you could have just seen a criminal. I saw a man trying to become better. I correct. That's different than potential. That's action. And you're part of that action. Knowing you're here, building a life with me. It makes the hard decisions easier. Transitioning the business, cutting ties with dangerous people, investing in legitimate projects. I'm not doing it alone anymore. I squeeze his hand. Neither am I. We're doing it together. He leans across the console, kissing me with a tenderness that still catches me off guard. When we pull apart, he's smiling. A real smile, not the controlled expression he shows the world. Let's go home, he says. Home. The word resonates differently now. It's not a safe house or temporary shelter. It's the apartment we chose together, the life we're building, the future we're creating despite complicated pasts. That evening, I'm working on case files when Nicholas stops by with documents for Franco to review. He lingers in the doorway after Franco disappears into his office. He's different with you, Nicholas observes. Different how? Lighter, like he's carrying less weight. Nicholas's usual professional demeanor softens slightly. I've worked for Franco for 12 years. Never saw him care about anything except the organization and his reputation. Now he cares about you. It's good for him. He's good for me too, I admit. In ways I didn't expect. Nicholas nods, satisfied, and leaves. I return to my medical journals, but my mind drifts to the journey that brought me here. 6 months ago, I was chained in a basement, uncertain if I'd survive. Now I'm sitting in an apartment I helped choose, planning my career, building a relationship with someone who sees me as an equal. The trauma didn't disappear. I still have difficult nights, still flinch at unexpected sounds, still carry scars, physical and otherwise. But I'm also stronger than I was before, more certain of who I am and what I want. Franco emerges from his office hours later, finding me asleep on the couch with journals scattered around me. He carefully moves the books aside, drapes a blanket over me, turns off the lights. I'm half awake but don't move, just listen to him settle in the chair nearby, keeping watch the way he has since the beginning. You don't have to stay. I murmur. I know. I want to. I drift back to sleep with those words warming me. When I wake before dawn, he's still there, and something about that simple act of presence says more than any grand gesture could. We're not perfect. Our relationship is built on trauma and complicated circumstances. There are no guarantees about the future, no promises that risk won't find us again. But we're here, together, choosing each other every day. And somehow, that's everything I need.